Hello, welcome to our college preparation webinar. We are so excited to be able to partner with Education for All and provide our webinar for you all. But before our panelists tell us about their high school experience, we wanted to let you guys know a little bit about us.
Founded in June of last year, Review Tutor is a student-led nonprofit organization that is focused on connecting and teaching students worldwide. A couple of our goals include spreading knowledge, connecting with others, and helping teachers and learners build a community.
As an organization, our mission is to help provide quality education to students all around the world. By teaching students, we hope to create an impact that lasts a lifetime. Being students ourselves, we understand a lot of the difficulties students have, and we feel that we can do our part for those in need. We also aim towards funding educational resources that can make an impact in students' lives who are from a low income background.
We also provide many opportunities free of charge, including tutoring, review quizzes for many subjects, and different kinds of opportunities, like this webinar. You can see all of these things at our website, reviewtutor.org. Also, make sure to check out our Instagram at reviewtutor.co to get the latest updates on our new projects.
Now we will talk about Education for All and their mission as an organization.
Education for All is a registered tax-exempt charitable organization in the USA. Education for All focuses on providing free, quality education to rural children in India, irrespective of their caste, creed, religion, or any other background, along with free rooms and boarding to children in need.
The parent organization in India, Prashanti Bala Mandira Trust, is a large organization with over 23 residential school campuses with all facilities, including large sports grounds, computer labs, meditation centers, etc. It also has a university with 2 colleges.
Children get an all-around character-building education, including yoga, meditation, musical instruments, sports, and other extracurricular activities. Children can study here from 6th grade to postgraduate and PhD.
If you would like to know more about this noble cause, please visit their website, www.educationforall.co.
Moving forward, we would like to announce each of our panelists speaking in this event.
First, we have Anvi, who will be attending Augusta's 7-year BSMD program. Then Erica, who is currently pursuing her master's degree at Harvard University. Arnav, who is pursuing electrical engineering and computer science at Berkeley. Samir, who will be attending UT Austin's Business Honors and Finance program. Henry, who will be pursuing an economics major at Harvard University. And finally, Ishani, who will be attending Georgia Tech as a biomedical engineering major on the pre-med track.
Each of the speakers will now introduce themselves and talk about their journey to college.
All right, hey everyone. My name is Anvi Peddi, and I am going to be attending Augusta University and later MCG on the BSMD track. And my major right now is going to be cellular and molecular biology. And this is kind of, I'll talk about the college a little bit and the program. So it's 7 years long, and the major is kind of already decided for you. So which is why I'm going with that. So some of my high school statistics here. My GPA at the end of my high school was a 4.6. So colleges, you apply with your junior year GPA, but colleges do consider your senior year courses. My ACT that I got was a 34. So I mean, it's a really good score, and it's not a 36, but you know, it doesn't really matter, you know, how high, how low. With this program, you kind of have to focus more on your essays and how you present yourself to the MCG committee. I did take 16 AP classes in high school. It's quite a few to list, but some notable ones that were important for this pathway, I would say would be AP biology, AP statistics, AP calculus, AP physics, and AP chem. And AP psychology, sorry. And these I feel like are more science and math focused, which is really important for this program. Some of my community service and extracurricular activities that I participated in would be first FBLA. I was heavily involved in FBLA throughout high school, and I competed at NLC and SLC most of my high school. DECA, I was involved in DECA for my last 2 years of high school, and that was because I was on the marketing pathway. And so I did join DECA. And I think when people are planning on applying pre-med or anything for college, they try to only participate in science or, math related medical activities. But with, I think DECA and being in the marketing pathway really changed the game for my essays and how I presented myself, because I kind of was able to show that I am more well-rounded and I can use skills that I take away from this pathway in my medical journey. I was also in HOSA, and HOSA is a medical related club, and that's where you can also compete. It's like FBLA, but for medicine. And I also competed at ILC for that and SLCs. And then I was also an MD Junior, and in MD Junior, my last year, I was co-president. And that's basically a club where you do medical volunteering. And there's a bunch of opportunities that you can get involved in. And through MD Junior, I also earned the Gold Presidential Volunteer Service Award. That's basically in like a course of 1 year, you earn 250 plus volunteering hours. And I was also a Grady Hospital summer volunteer. Basically, after my 10th grade, I volunteered at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta over the summer, and I volunteered in the ACE unit. And I'm also heavily involved in things like dance, and I competed for that. And so all of these things that are, not really science related, they're also very important for your application. So make sure you are getting involved in things other than science or math related things if you are looking to go to this program or any pre-medical program.
Thanks, Anvi. We would now like to introduce Erica.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. My name is Erica, joining in from France. I'm originally from Korea and lived in 6 countries, mainly in Europe. I wear many different hats, actually, including being a violinist, CEO of a nonprofit organization, string instrument business advisor in France. I have many business cards in front of me as well. But today I'm here to share my story and experience as a student at Harvard. So currently I'm pursuing my master's degree at Harvard Graduate School of Education in a specialized studies program. So I can experience the subjects that I'm interested in. So I can look into leadership, entrepreneurship, technology, education policy to build my skills as an educator and a CEO. And because of COVID, people had to vacate the campus and do virtual last year. So I will be on campus next year. So I'm happy about that. The reason I chose a Master of Education as my degree was that I wanted to make a difference in cultural education, especially at the program and system level, which is government or UNESCO, international organization-wise. So because of my nonprofit organization project, I had the chance to teach orphan children music in Africa. And actually, I put that story on my essay as well when I was applying. And that was the moment that I thought I wanted to go on this path, contributing to arts education and the emotional wellness of students. And I did research on what program would be suitable, and I found the right program for me at Harvard. So I want to say that it is important to know if the program offers you what you are looking for, and if you're the right person the school is looking for before the school title. So if your goal and story are aligned with the program, then they would have to pick you. And actually, I didn't go to middle school or high school. I did homeschool after graduating elementary school. I may have missed out some things, but I do not regret because I could concentrate on things that I liked. And for me, that was music. And music was taking the major part. I could say music was my extracurricular, but also something that invested my time and effort into. And actually, I taught a student who was recently doing a homeschool like I did. And he was concentrating a lot on his extracurricular, which was violin for him. And he was involved in many summer camps related to music. And recently, last year, I know that he got admitted to UC Berkeley. He was very happy about that. Yeah, I graduated middle school and high school with the qualification exam at 14 and then entered Seoul National University. That was the #1 ranked university in Korea. I studied there for a year related to music and social science. Then I moved to London and studied at Royal Academy of Music as a scholarship recipient. And yeah, I was a non-US undergrad institution. So yeah, I didn't have to take SAT or SAT, but yeah, there was an A level in the UK and CSAT in Korea. That's another thing. But I took GRE for Harvard. It's graduate applicants. That's another thing. So I will focus on my other experiences. So yeah, I lived in US, Belgium, Norway, and I was in France 10 years ago, and now I'm back again for work. And yeah, living in different countries definitely helped my education path. It has broadened my perspectives in many ways and understandings of diverse cultures, people, and stories. And the more I experienced and the more I was sure about my decisions and my path. And I'm more of a person who acts on things and takes risk rather than thinking and worrying, not doing it. So yeah, for that, I remember when I went to this open house at Harvard before applying, the dean of the Graduate School of Education mentioned that if you apply, there are both chances you might get it or not get it. But if you don't apply, you will never get it. So yeah, everyone, please, I recommend you to dream big and do what you are passionate about. Then actually you will have wonderful stories automatically that you can move to the admission committee. So yeah, I wish all the best for everyone and thank you again for this webinar.
So it was very interesting to hear about your world experiences. We would now like to introduce Arnav.
Hey everyone, real fast before Arnav goes ahead and gets started, I just want to tell everyone quickly the schedule for today's event. So we're going to start off with the introductions of each speaker as we are doing right now. Then we will move on to the interview question section where we, after telling a bit more about the organizations, we'll move on to interview questions where we will ask more in-depth questions. And then finally, you guys will have the opportunity to ask in the chat Q&As if you have any questions. With that said, we'll go ahead and go to Arnav. Go ahead, Arnav.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arnav, and I am currently studying electrical engineering and computer science at Berkeley. And I haven't really had much of a college experience yet because of COVID, so I'm going to talk more about like how I got into college. And I hope this is helpful to you guys and you guys pick up something that you can use or that may help you out. So for me, when I came into high school and like was kind of started along my journey, I didn't really have a plan of what I wanted to do. And so what I did was I really just followed what I liked and what I was curious about. And thankfully for me, I kind of had a innate talent for computer science. It was something that just clicked to me, and for mathematics and for these types of things. So I focused a lot on doing things that kind of adhere to those ideas. So that meant taking math classes, taking physics classes, taking like science classes like chemistry and biology. And what I learned through those experiences is that classes in high school can really teach you about what you like and where you're going with your life in the future. Like, for example, I tried all these classes and I didn't like them all the same way. I took a biology class and I hated it. And so that taught me, okay, maybe I should not be a doctor, I took a chemistry class and it was okay, but it wasn't something I wanted to pursue. And I took a physics class and I loved it. And that was maybe partly because of the teacher and whatever it was, but I enjoyed it so much that now I may plan to do a minor in physics in my college in the future, because that's just something I enjoyed. So I think it's important to take all these experiences of classes. Normally we think of classes as like requirements where you need to get a grade, and that's definitely true. I think you definitely have to keep in mind the like certain kind of requirements that are needed to get into college, like, a foreign language, certain years of math classes, certain science classes you kind of have to take for programs. And I think those are things that you have to take like importantly, but there's also a lot of personal development you can find within high school classes. And for example, I struggled with English as just as for myself in ninth grade and 10th grade. So I stopped taking an English. I didn't take English honors in 10th and 11th, or sorry, in 11th and 12th. But I actually really enjoyed writing creatively in those classes. And so I didn't take that seriously during that time because I wasn't that good at English. I thought to myself, but in college, I took an English course where I got to write creatively, and I enjoyed it so much again that I started doing it more in my life. Like I now am writing creatively. So it's kind of strange how all these things happen. But if you really look at what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, you will have a much easier time finding things that you can work hard on and put time into and passion into. And if you can put time and passion into something, you're going to do well. Like you're going to do at least much better than something where you're not putting time and passion. And outside of classes, I was doing competitive gymnastics, and that was again something that I was just really enjoyed, and that took up a large part of my time in ninth and 10th grade. But it was just something I wanted to do. And in terms of actually, I never thought of it as something I need to get into college by doing gymnastics. And so eventually the point came where I had to stop doing gymnastics to kind of pursue more of things that were more relevant to computer science and to technology, which the decision was a tough decision, but to me, the most important thing, I knew that in my life, that's what I wanted to do, at least more so than gymnastics. And so I made that choice to drop that, and I started doing my school's robotics club. And that was super fun to me, working in a team, working with my hands, doing a little bit of coding. Great experience. And as I got more into that, I came into like a leadership role, and I started getting involved in community outreach, like teaching classes to high schooler, or not high schoolers, sorry, middle schoolers and like elementary schoolers, doing charity work through that organization. And that was a great experience, a great learning experience for me. But I didn't love it the same way I loved just working on stuff and like working with my hands and learning like concepts. So I started deviating away from that, doing like machine learning classes online. And eventually I had the opportunity to build an RC car, like a autonomous RC car with my cousin. And in order to do that, that was a huge time commitment. I had to drop my robotics club, and my dad was kind of pressuring me I should start an AI club because I learned so much about it. I chose not to do that. And instead I chose to start building this RC car. And it was not necessarily like a choice that makes sense because I have a leadership position in a club, or I can start a new club. Those are two things that look great on paper. But versus, oh, I'm taking this undertaking that might go nowhere, it might show nothing. But I chose to do that because that was something I knew I can actually put time and effort into, versus starting a club for me might just become a hassle that I don't really enjoy. So that's how I kind of took that approach. And I also started learning music. Like it's just not out of nowhere. I was just a music lover. I have no experience in music. People do music for 12 years. I just started doing it in my junior year. And it was a strange thing because my love for music and my trying to produce has actually led me into a project that I'm working on now, where I'm using machine learning and music production together. But I had never imagined that would happen. I was just doing music for fun. And so all these things don't quite necessarily make sense at the time that I did them, but looking to like where I started and where I am now, everything kind of worked out in terms of when I followed what I enjoyed, even if it didn't quite make sense, it's led to great results. And that made writing essays and presenting myself to like a college admission thing kind of easy. Like I had no plan on how I was going to do it, but I just was genuine. Like this is why I did things, and this is what I really liked. And so my essay on music was a really good essay. It was a better essay than my essay on leadership because I just enjoyed music more. And that was how I kind of did it. And my essay on my robotics car actually showed more leadership than my essay about leadership, which was just how it worked out. And yeah, so that's kind of how I've gone through my that's the kind of the best way that I found to get through high school. Those are ideas that I'm taking into college as well, looking for, what am I actually curious in? What can I put time into? Like, for example, this creative writing thing that I started doing. I don't know if it's going to lead anywhere, but it's just something that I know I can put time into. I know I will enjoy, and it's not taking away from things that are important to me, like my other projects. And so, yeah, that's my advice is to find what you like. First of all, be serious with your priorities. Grades come first. You can't prioritize like having fun over grades. But once you have those baselines set, your grades, your test scores and everything, then look for what you really enjoy and put time into that. I hope that was helpful, and I wish you all the best in your journeys. Thank you.
Okay, that was amazing to hear. Now we would like to welcome Samir.
Before we move on to Samir, I just quickly like to remind everyone that the Q&A session will be after the interview session, and it will be coming soon. Right now, we're doing the introductions. Go ahead, Samir.
Okay, hey everyone. My name is Samir. I'm attending the University of Texas at Austin, and I'm going to be pursuing business honors, finance, double major, and then on top of that, Bachelor of Science in Arts and Math. So I'm going to save kind of the college stuff for later, but to go over like the stats, that GPA is end of senior year. The one I went in applying college was 4.68-ish, and I was tied for rank 1 with my best friend. So the reason I have 2 SAT scores listed here is because there's the raw score and super score. So super score is just 10 points more than the raw score, but with the raw score, I can say that like colleges know that I didn't perform badly in one section or just focus on one section only or do many attempts. So that's why I only reported the raw score. If there's a small margin like that, I would not recommend super scoring it, or like unless it's the difference between like 1490 and like a 1530 or something, then you may want to consider super score. AP classes taken, that was all end of junior year mostly because I was planning to do dual enrollment at Georgia Tech from the start, and I didn't want to have to do grad requirements for high school like Gov, Lit, some like foreign language classes. I didn't want to do that during the time at Georgia Tech, so I went ahead and did that all in the summer, and I did it before, and so I could focus solely on dual enrollment classes, which I wanted to take for my own fun. So at Georgia Tech, I did 8 actually. I did 8 courses, but only like 5 got reported back to my high school. So 3 of them were just for my own enjoyment, but there were also courses I could put on my college application during regular decision applications. So I would get the Georgia Tech transcript and send that to each of the colleges I was applying to because it wouldn't be listed in my high school transcript. As for awards, the second award is when I was applying to college. I applied to Georgia Tech, and I don't know how, but I got stamps semi-finalist. I didn't really write extraordinary essays, but I do know that's something huge that they consider. Probably one factor is that I applied for economics, which is kind of a slept-on major at Georgia Tech. And that same semester, I was doing an economics class, which I mentioned in my essay, as well as a professor. So I'm guessing that helped with that. I didn't advance from that stage, probably because I didn't take it that seriously. I would recommend take everything seriously because I've heard that you can kind of bargain or negotiate for financial aid with other colleges based on what you have at one college. I didn't know that, so I kind of lost this opportunity, but I ended up getting another scholarship at UT anyways, so it didn't really matter. Some other awards were at Georgia Tech. I did this one computer science bowl competition, which was basically an AP CSA exam, and you could take it any year you wanted to. All you need to know is Java, and if you did bad, I mean, no one would see. So I would definitely recommend going around looking for these competitions, see if you can get first, second, third. And these are kind of like setting you apart from other things like FBLA. Like, well, I'm not trying to like diss on FBLA, but a lot of people are going to have first place at like SLC or top 3 NLC. But here are a little more unique ones that I think you should go ahead and explore. For extracurricular activities, I didn't do many school clubs. I didn't feel like school clubs really prepared me for anything. I wasn't concerned about college applications. So I went ahead and just did sports. I did varsity tennis. I did varsity track for 1 year. Tennis was all 4 years. And I created one app. I did some independent research. And I did one school club, which is computer science club, which was one of my only leadership positions, except for tennis. So I'll go over the app and everything else later. I just want to like keep it kind of brief so everyone else can go ahead and do their thing.
That was very helpful to hear. Moving on, let's welcome Henry.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. And thank you so much for everyone that's calling in to this call. And hopefully the experience I'm going to be sharing with you guys will be a little bit helpful. So my story is, and my application experience, it's a little different from Erica's in that she applied for the graduate school at Harvard and mine is the undergrad application. So hopefully that mine can also be of use to you guys, even though it's not nearly as cool as Erica's. So I'm looking at the presentation page right now, and it looks to me to be a little misleading because of all these numbers and all these stats, because I don't think they necessarily, I mean, they do a good job of explaining our merits and why we're here, but it doesn't necessarily explain our story, right? And, you know, for example, I'm looking at my GPA and my SAT, and on record or on book, you know, it's a decent score, but at the same time, it doesn't really explain the motivation or the drive of how I got there or why I chose to push myself to try to get that GPA or SAT. So for me, I was raised in China. I was born in North Carolina, but I was raised in China. And definitely in China, the education and the curriculum there were sometimes lacking, but just very different from what we had here in America, which is partly why I love this organization to provide for education for students in India, because I think that is very powerful in creating opportunities or chances for higher social and economic mobility for students over there. Anyways, I came to America when I was 7 or 8. I started first grade here, and I didn't know any English at the time. I faced a lot of setbacks. I was laughed at for my accents. But I think a common theme you'll find in me and my story is that one of my biggest strengths, I would say, is turning challenges into opportunities. And when I was in first grade and everyone was laughing at me, you know, it was hard. But at the same time, they were laughing at me, which some people can see it as humiliating. But for me, it meant, hey, I have friends. And, you know, I kind of owned that kind of accent and, you know, was able to make a lot of friends from that. And I was bad at English, but that was also a source of motivation for me to work hard at school, because I saw how hard my parents worked from coming to America with just $100 in their pockets to working up to where they are now and providing for my family. I just wanted to put that same work ethic at school and to just make them proud eventually. And that's why in high school and middle school, I chose to put in that work. I chose to put in that grinds. And that explains why and how I was able to get the scores I got. But that's a little bit of my story, but you guys are all here today to learn more about college, learn more about college application. And the first thing I'll say is that I feel like college application, or I believe that college applications, especially if you guys for, you know, freshmen, sophomores right now, it's something that you should keep in the back of your minds as a source of motivation, but not necessarily something you base your entire life off of. In other words, let it be something that drives you. You want to be a driven student at school, but you don't want to be consumed by just building your resume. And I think that looking at my list of leadership positions and community service and extracurriculars, and some that are not listed on here, all of it came from something that came naturally to me, based off situations, based off opportunities. You know, for example, it says debate captain on record, and I apologize for my dog barking in the background. with debate, that just started because I was terrified of public speaking and I didn't want to be any longer. So I looked for opportunities for me to improve in my public speaking ability, and debate was the natural answer. And just a side note, for anybody who's considering debate, highly recommend. Probably one of the most impactful events or organizations or activities I participated in growing up, just because it challenged me not only in public speaking, but in thinking on the spot and researching and just confidence and so many other aspects. But, just with liking debate, I got better and better. I was terrible for the longest time, and eventually got that captain position. It wasn't something that just came naturally. That it came from 5 years of just grinding and hundreds of hours of research and going to weekend tournaments that take up the whole weekends. You look at FBLA, that started because I was kind of interested in business because of my mom, but honestly, I chose FBLA. Also, FBLA, like, it is true that a lot of people do FBLA, especially if you're in the area, like Samir said. So it's not necessarily something that makes you stand out, but I'm not gonna take the diss on FBLA like that. I still think FBLA, for me at least, was a very influential organization because it challenged me both in my hard skills of using data to to come up with problems with numbers and finance, but also learn about soft skills of human relationships, with communication, with leadership, et cetera, and so much more. But being state president of FBLA wasn't something that just happened. It started because I was at freshman orientation in 8th grade, and a guy from FBLA came up and presented, and I was like, dang, like, he looks so cool in a suit. And I was like, I want to be like that one day. And that's honestly how I got started. And, he was speaking really eloquently, and I was like, okay, that's something I want to do. And looking into nonprofit, and the last thing I'll say is looking at the community service. My philosophy with community service is that I wanted to contribute in something that I genuinely cared about, on like an issue I cared about. But two, maybe it was an ego thing, but I wanted to make sure I was able to contribute in the nonprofit or whatever community service I participated in, and not just doing something, again, not doing something for the resume. And for me, something I've always cared a lot about was poverty, and specifically how to alleviate poverty in less fortunate communities in the US, but also on a worldwide scale. And that started because I was traveling with my family and was just really stunned by the poverty we see in third world countries, but also sometimes in the neighborhood that we live in also. So for me, poverty reduction started, I realized that it starts with education, and how education can be such a strong driver for social and economic mobility, kind of what this organization is doing. But for me, again, it wasn't about the resume. And I think that, like, even now, earlier today, I was volunteering with Habitat for Humanity, not because it's going on the resume, but something that I see that we're having a tangible impact doing. And today, for example, we worked side by side with the people who are going to be living in the house that we were building for, and just be able to hear their story. And we were finishing the house today, and just seeing how happy they were and how fortunate they were, and how they haven't been able to live in the house of their own for the past 13 years. That's something that you just can't make up. Like, there are real people suffering out there, and it doesn't have to be poverty. Some people care about the environment, people care about women's rights, so many other topics out there, representation, etc. Find something that you care about and go pursue it. And again, just as a little motivator, I think that colleges place a lot of emphasis on community service. I got a postcard from the University of Pennsylvania, and and on the postcard it had a statistic that I think it was 92% of their applicants have participated in some sort of community service, and it was written on their application. Don't let that be the reason why you do community service, but definitely could be a motivator for you. That's all I'll say for now, because I want to respect the time, but thank you all again for having me.
Wow, that was quite interesting to hear about your high school journey and your overall story, Henry. We would now like to introduce Ishani.
Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining. I hope that we're helping you in some way. My name is Ishani Saha. I'm going to Georgia Tech as a biomedical engineering major, and I'm on the pre-med track. So everyone's talked about like their statistics and everything, and I don't have nearly as many qualifications as some of these people. So I think I'm gonna tell you guys about essays because I think that's really what helped me get into college, I guess. So I did work pretty hard on my essays because I was worried that my application wouldn't match up to other people. And my main advice to you guys would be to stay authentic to yourself. I know that's cliche, but I think it's really true because at the end of the day, colleges are picking you, but they're also picking you because you'd be a good fit and you want to be a good fit to the college that you commit to. And so if you're lying in your essays or if you're, stretching the truth, a college might pick you on a false pretense, and then you might not end up liking the college. So I think, let's see, what did I write? Oh yeah. Okay. So I wrote my essays about, my main one was about my FBLA position. And basically I wrote about how that pushed me as a person because if you knew me freshman, well, you guys don't know me, but freshman year, I was pretty shy. I wasn't like the type to go up and like be a leader or like go speak to people. And so I know it's cliche again, but in FBLA, like it encouraged me to talk to people. And so I wrote my essay about how I overcame that mental block in my life and how it made me a better leader, better person. So yeah, I think that you guys should stay authentic to yourself and like tell them about something that is truly meaningful to you. Obviously, you don't want to talk about something that you don't care about, and then focus on academics, but you want to use your essay as something that adds to your personality. They can't interview you, initially. So you want to tell them who you are as a person, what values mean to you, and what principles you care about. So yeah, I think that's it for my intro.
Thanks, Ishani. And to all our panelists, we would like to thank them in their amazing introductions. Now, moving forward, Review Tutor and Education for All will discuss how they can impact your journey to college. Afterwards, we will move on to the interview questions and Q&A session.
Many things you do in high school can stand out on college applications, including extracurriculars that show skills such as dedication and leadership. As an organization, Review Tutor is offering a new program to help develop interest in computer science. Although this class is completely free, we do have limited spots. This is to ensure that we can provide the best instruction to those who can participate. Being taught by Review Tutor representatives, this program can help you get a head start on your college application and make you stand out from other applicants.
For those of you who are interested in this program, please fill out the form in the QR code shown in this slide. A Review Tutor representative will then contact you after the event for more information regarding this program.
We would now like to give the mic to Education for All to talk about their organization and how they can help.
Hello, everyone. First, I would like to thank Satvik, Ankit, and the entire Review Tutor team and the panelists, especially Review Tutor team for help organizing this event, collaborating with Education for All, and all the panelists for the wonderful introduction. I know more things to go. We still have the interview questions and question and answer going on, so stay tuned. So here I would like to talk about Education for All a little bit and tell how you can make use of Education for All in your journey into college, or Education for All can help in your journey into college. As you might have noticed in all the resumes of all the panelists, they have some community service or leadership activities as part of their journey. As you know, the colleges or schools value the community service, not just for resume, as Henry mentioned. It has to come from your heart. You have to touch, you have to feel for your neighbor. It can be here locally or anywhere. So service is part of our life. Service starts from young age. It can be just as sharing. That is what everyone values. So in the journey of Education for All, or your journey to the higher education, Education for All can help in terms of many activities that Education for All is already embarking. I will touch base on this one later, but before that, I will give some little bit introduction about Education for All so that you know very well about this organization and so that you are well equipped, well aware, so to participate. Again, this is our website, educationforall.co. Education for All focuses on providing free education, all-round education, or quality education to rural children, free of charge. And also we provide free shelter, food, boarding, lodging, whatever you call, to the really destitute or children in need, especially people in the rural area. We have over 23 campuses listed in our website as well. They are like state-of-the-art campuses we built. These campuses don't lack any facilities. They have everything: sports grounds, meditation center, all computer labs, and so on, so forth. And currently we have over 23 campuses, full-fledged campuses across India. But it's a part of a large organization called Prashanthi Balamandira Trust. And this Prashanthi Balamandira Trust also operates not only schools, they have one university, 2 colleges, they operate 3 super specialty hospitals for children, and they have human excellence centers across the globe, around 17 places. And they also have hospital here in Clarksdale, Mississippi, Sanjeevani Hospital, Sanjeevani Hospital. So this is how about the background of the organization. And currently we support 2 schools in the construction. One is called Tumakur, and another is called Badabal, and one for girls and one for the boys. And here is on a testimonial page, you can see the kind of students get help. You can read the story here. This is one such girl, Akshaya, whose father left her mother, and the mother was support 3 girls. And then she didn't have any means. Education for All took her into one of our schools, and then she is happily pursuing her education. This is another person by name Sugunesh. He don't have both the parents, and then he was living with this grandmother. And you can see here, he is studying happily. Similarly, there are many such students, and you can see here, they're happily involved in the sports activities and having their 3 meals a day. And this is our participation page. And there are many ways you can participate in this noble cause. You can help in the construction of the school, and you can help in educate a child. You can help in providing the complete cost for a child, and so forth. Now coming to the, of course, if you have any additional questions, you can put in the chat, and then we can go during the question and answer session and things like that. Now I will stop sharing, and Ankit, you can share the other slide. So we have what we call Education for All Club. So we already have one school currently operating Education for All Club in their school. So as part of that, some of the activities the students do is create events. The events you can do where you promote this cause of helping the children in need, and you can do walkathons, you can do career sessions and things like that. So this will be a leadership opportunity, because you will starting a club in your school, and this club have a structure of president, vice president, then other members and things like that. So this is like this in the one Education for All club that is operated in Atlanta. So there they have around 40 members in the club. Because of the COVID, they could not do much. If you would like to start a club in your school, you can write to us. In the participation page, you have a form you can just fill in and send your bio to us and what's your motivation and things like that. Only serious people or serious students who would like to start the club, you can send an email, or you can send an email to us at info@educationforall.co. You can also volunteer individually, or you can represent EF in your area, or be part of the effort, or you can also volunteer by helping in any of the web development, or you can participate in organizing event and so forth. So we are open. It is considered as a forum. It's an open forum, Education for All, and you can make use of this if you want to help someone in life. And all the participation, all the contributions in this, nothing is left here. Everything 100% goes to the cause. So with that, I think thanks again, everyone. I will continue the session.
For those of you interested, feel free to sign up for the computer science program at this link. Also check out EFA at this link in the chat. We will now proceed on to the interview portion of this program. We've come up with a list of frequently asked questions about one's careers and future goals.
Okay, the first questions are for Anvi. Anvi, when did you decide you wanted to go into the medical field?
So I think I always knew since I was kind of younger that I wanted to pursue something in the medical field. I think the biggest thing that changed within that was, what kind of physician I wanted to be or something like that. And there was a brief period in between where I was like kind of straying away from the medical field, but I kind of found my path again after taking certain high school courses and participating in things like hospital volunteering. I think I kind of reconnected to the medical field and found my love for it once again.
So did you do research on the medical field? And if so, what did you do your research on?
So I did not actually do research in high school because about last summer, even if I wanted to do research, I had an opportunity, but because of COVID, I was not able to pursue it. But I was really interested in doing research with neuroscience technology and things like that.
Okay, and have you partaken in any leadership or community service activities that helped your college application?
So I think the biggest community service opportunities that helped with my application, and this kind of goes along with leadership is, I don't think I mentioned this before, but I was a volunteer for 3.5 years at Next Generation Focus. So I was a volunteer tutor and I helped tutor underprivileged children. And I think the way it helped my application first, yes, it's because I've been involved in it throughout high school, but also it helped me write really good essays because I had some unique experiences to share with specific students. And I think that helped me set my application apart, especially for the BSMD program specifically. And some other things that I got involved in with leadership would be like Women in STEM and MD Junior, and these were heavily focused on the science and medical field. And I think, I mean, when you're applying to something that's, you know, outright a medical program, they really love to see things that are science related. So those definitely really helped me push me over the edge with my application. And again, I think it also helped me write some like really great essays with volunteering with MD Junior and the service award and things like that.
Okay, and what made you choose the 7-year BSMD program over an 8-year, like a general medical program?
Right, so that's a big question that everybody debates, and I definitely did debate that when I got accepted. Basically, there are pros and cons to both. Just a few pros that I'll tell you about the 7-year program. With a traditional pathway going, 4 years of undergrad, then applying to medical school, and then attending 4 years of medical school, I think you never truly enjoy the activities you pursue in undergrad. And that is because getting into medical school is very difficult. And with that, everybody tries to do things like research. I mean, they do, undergrad research, they do volunteering, and they do mainly things that they just do for the purpose of getting into medical school. And sometimes they might not even enjoy it. For me, I don't think I'm a really big research person. I'm more of a hands-on clinical. I love volunteering much more. And with the 7-year program, I feel like in my first 3 years, since I have my conditional admittance to medical school, I can pursue things that I truly enjoy. And it doesn't have to be only medical related. I can do, other clubs that the school offers and things that I enjoy without worrying about, is it going to benefit me? Is it going to benefit my application? Am I going to have time or anything like that? So that is something that, attracted me to the program. Another thing is you are accepted into medical college. So you don't have to spend a stressful amount of time, doing your primary applications, your secondary applications, interviews, and this whole big process applying to many medical colleges. And there is no guarantee at the time either. And so with this, I feel more relaxed and I feel like I can definitely push myself with my undergrad courses. And another pro is all of the courses I'm going to be taking in my first 3 years of the BSMD program are benefiting me in preparing for the MCAT. So basically, any class I take is somewhat related to the MCAT. And yes, I'll be doing independent study, but it won't be too much because I will have an upper edge and I'll be more prepared. And also the requirements of matriculating into medical school are nearly not as difficult as if you were applying independently out of, a 4-year undergrad university. And that was a lot of pros, but I'll just tell you a few cons real quick. It is binded. So, you are stuck in Augusta for 7 years if you choose to decide, but you can leave for residency. So that's a pro, but you're in one place. And I know a lot of people love to explore. So, if you really do want to do something, outside of wherever you go to undergrad, then I would not recommend applying here. And another thing is the college does there's a little bit less flexibility in terms of classes with the Augusta University BSMD program versus other colleges. So they kind of decide your entire schedule. If you are not really the kind of person, and if you're still exploring your options and you would like to take classes that, are not solely for the program, go ahead with the regular 4-year university because you'll have much more freedom. And also there might not be a big opportunity to study abroad or volunteering trips and things like that in this program because it is very intensive. So yeah, those were a couple of cons there.
Okay, that makes sense. And how competitive would you say the BSMD program is?
So from what I've heard and from what I've read, I know that for the Augusta University, there is around 600 people who apply maybe. And when you think it's BSMD and DMD as well, but there's less people who apply for DMD. And out of those like 600 people, I think like around like 30 to 35 people, students get chosen to pursue BSMD or BSDMD. And you can do the math, but I would say it is pretty competitive. It is at a level of like Ivy colleges or anything like that. But the difference here is with Ivy colleges, there might be a student you can kind of like churn out about, this is kind of how an Ivy student may be or something like that. I think with a BSMD program, especially from all the people I've met who are in the program currently, everyone is very different. And I think the biggest thing on why that is because of the biggest thing would be like essays. And the medical committee considers stats and stuff, but we did have to write like 10 essays. That's a big thing too. We did have to write like 10 essays to get accepted. So that really sets everyone apart. There is no reason that you need like a 1600 or 36 or all fives or all fours and fives on AP exams to get in, because I definitely did not have that. So I think just like be yourself with your application and like write about your unique experiences. Don't try to take away from someone else's, and you definitely will be able to get into the program.
Okay, thank you. Now giving it to Ishani, who will be interviewing Erica.
So yeah, these next questions will be for Erica. What is the college environment like at Harvard?
Right. Actually, each school at Harvard University has a varied atmosphere. So there must be a difference between Harvard College and Harvard Graduate School. So I'm sure that Henry will be able to explain more about the college atmosphere later. So yeah, even among graduate schools, each of them is different when you do cross-register and take classes in other schools. In Harvard, like Kennedy School, yeah, it's different, and law school is different. I'm sure it's everywhere, and each of them is different. But what I can say that general atmosphere is very supportive and optimistic, and there are many things you can participate in outside of the class as social events, and so there are so many forums, events in school, and so there are plenty of opportunities, so that you don't have to be really in a competitive mode. I mean, it exists, but it's really a supporting atmosphere, and there are programs that you can apply for if you have a hard time as a student, or if you have no idea what to do for your academic planning. So there are always people who can reach out to. There are many advisors. They're always ready. They are even emailing you always to check out if you are doing well. So yeah, so I never felt, let's say, I never felt I was at the edge. So I'm really grateful that I'm in a community that values diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yeah.
That's really nice to hear. What were some major factors that helped your decision to go to Harvard?
Right, major factors. First of all, doing music, like my entire life is about music. And actually that led me to go travel and live into many different countries. And by doing that, actually I could broaden my perspective, and I could understand diverse cultures and people and histories and language. So those experience more, I am sure, that makes me more sure about my thoughts and ideas. And actually the major factors when I was in EU, countries. I mean, still I'm here. I was playing an EU commission, and it could really see the power of music. I wanted to do something with, the power of music. And actually, I didn't mention before, but other than that, I also did several short certificate programs while I was in Europe related to global governance and international relations, because I really wanted to be specialized in cultural diplomacy as well. And then before that, I thought it would be actually even more important to have children, to give them an equal chance to learn and experience culture education, let's say. So yeah, for that, I thought even though I already have a nonprofit organization related to cultural education, I thought I need more background. So that's how I applied. That's why I applied to Harvard. And Harvard was very suitable for me. That's the reason.
Okay. We saw that you were passionate about playing the piano and violin. Has playing these instruments helped you with your journey into Harvard? If so, how did it help you?
As I have mentioned earlier, playing violin has played a crucial role in my academic journey. And because of music, I did homeschool, and I entered university earlier because of that. And I lived and traveled in many countries because of music as well. Broadened my perspectives. I cannot actually take out music in my life. Even, now I'm in Harvard, I guess also because I did music as well. And which made me found a nonprofit organization. And actually, this is my second master's. I already have a master in music as well. And I wouldn't have, come back to school if I didn't experience all that. So then I wanted to have a background in the education field, including many other things. I wanted to have all together, a program which has all together. And that's the program. And so I'm grateful that I could have those experiences through music and violin. So all I can say is find your passion and follow that.
So another thing we noticed was that you did high school in Korea and college in the UK. What was it like living in many different countries, and what were the benefits of studying abroad?
Right. Well, there are many benefits. It's actually always pros and cons. It's confusing. First of all, it is confusing. It can be very confusing. It's a different language, different system, and you have always time to adjust yourself into a new atmosphere, environment, new friends, new teachers. But of course, there are great things like you actually learn more skill, how to adjust yourself more faster than other people. So that is one skill I learned. And of course, you get to learn other languages. That's actually a great skill as well. And it just comes as a bonus that you get to meet many friends from diverse backgrounds, you can hear diverse languages. And that was the whole package was really wonderful for me. And just it is really confusing. So I really think that you need support. It's not only about yourself. You need support from your everyone, tutors, your family, your partner. It could be anyone. And because of that, I guess I'm here now. So that is my answer.
Those are very nice answers. So now we'll be moving on to Arnav, who's being presented by Nikki.
Okay, hi Arnav. So first of all, what are some activities and key points that you believe got you into Berkeley?
So what I did, the main things that I did, I think were working on my autonomous RC car. That was like a project that I worked on. I spent a lot of time on over about 2 years. And I think the thing about that was kind of set it apart and kind of made me unique as a candidate was that like it's not something that you can do in an organization or Like it's not something that you can find like the opportunity. It's something that kind of came like from myself. It was something I choose to do because that was something I was interested in. And so that's one thing. Another thing that was a huge experience in my life was I had a massive head injury that kind of affected my life greatly, and it really changed my view on how things work and who I am for myself. And so while it was like a tragedy within my life, it did help in college apps, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. So, have you taken in part in any leadership or community service activities that helped your college application?
Yeah. So I was in my school's FTC robotics team, and through that, I kind of learned in my second and third years of being in that club, I came into a leadership position where I was helping newer members and organizing things a little bit, things like that. And also through that club, I was doing teaching children who like underprivileged children and um, things like that, like outreach, finding like worthy causes to kind of inject a robotics type of thing into. And yeah, and I think those were valuable experiences. And in terms of leadership, I would say though, the process of finding something to do for myself was more of a leadership experience than actually being within that organization. Yeah.
Okay. Now with the workload, how did you balance that workload between schoolwork and other extracurriculars in high school?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's a very tough question for just the high school experience, and it's more so um, for me. It was like first of all, grades have to come first. School is just that's just how it is. Like you have to have that baseline before you do anything else, and once you have that and you're comfortable with that and you can like kind of manage that, then it's like okay, what am I enjoying? When I'm trying to do things, a lot of things in high school were kind of like told you have to do this in order to get into a good college, like doing like leadership positions that you necessarily may not like. For me, I didn't enjoy it as much. That's why I bring this back. Leadership is definitely a good thing to do and you should find a way that you can do it and enjoy it. And so it was for me, it was like, okay, let me do things that I actually enjoy instead of finding things that are a hassle to me. And so then, and when I would approach it in that way, it becomes a lot easier. It becomes like, oh, everything I'm doing is kind of enjoyable. I'm not, killing myself. The only thing I'm really killing myself on is like grades, and that's just how it goes.
Okay. Thank you, Arnav. Now we're going to move on to Ankit, who is interviewing Samir.
So tell us about the program that you're partaking in college. What are the pros and cons of participating in this program?
Right. So I'm doing the business honors program at UT, and the way this program is structured is it's trying to model after like MBA schools. So there's undergraduate business schools at some colleges, and you'll basically learn all the technical business things you need. Obviously, some colleges don't offer that. So Henry's going to Harvard and he's doing econ, but he's interested in business. So for him, he has kind of a liberal arts education, but he'll still get, probably more career options than me since he's going to Harvard, but I'll get to look at the technical stuff and I probably won't have to go for an MBA later. Anyways, that being said, my program basically focuses on taking case studies from Harvard Business School, and we just discuss as a group, we present to one another, and we get a little more comfortable doing these like real, like business practical exercises that regular students in the business school at UT won't get. I think this definitely eliminates the need to go for an MBA or go for any further education in business. So that's kind of nice. I would also say that this is kind of an edge over other business schools because there's definitely better business schools like UPenn Wharton, NYU Stern. Some argue U Michigan Ross. I think UT is better than that, but like some people think that. And the business honors program kind of distinguishes it from everything else because it doesn't matter where it lies in the ranking. It matters whether you want that kind of opportunity because other college, as far as I'm aware, offers this.
And how did your dual enrollment at Georgia Tech prepare you for college? We saw that you did a couple of math courses.
Yeah, so I kind of found an interest in math 10th, 11th grade, and then I just started doing whatever I could. One of my friends going to Caltech, he actually did a lot of challenging math classes. I just took whatever I knew I could do, whatever seemed interesting. He and I both did one thing in common though, which was take math classes, which we knew weren't going to be reported on our transcript. And I think colleges may actually like seeing that it didn't even matter for our GPA, yet we still took it because we actually had an interest in taking those classes. And in the business honors program, actually there's an interview call for part of the stage or the selection stage. And you get the call if they have an interest in you or you have a decent chance. And my interviewer was actually recognizing the math classes specifically. And he was telling me about how those are interesting and set me apart. So I definitely think that taking a lot of advanced classes in one specific field, I got the opportunity to do there, was really helpful. I also got to do a couple economics, social science classes that were post AP. So I could demonstrate I had what it took to do these college level classes.
And we noticed that you created an app titled Snooze. Could you tell us a bit more about the app and its purpose?
Okay, so
in your journey.
Yeah. So Snooze was an Android app, and I got the idea in 9th, 10th grade of what to do. Basically, it's a GPS alarm app. So there's two options. One is suppose you're sleeping on a bus or public transportation and you want to get somewhere and be woken up in time. So one option is either you get woken up certain time from arriving, 5, 6, 7 minutes. You can set that. It'll be based on traffic patterns, or you get woken up a distance radius from where you want to be arriving. And that might be any distance you set. You can choose either of those options. Everything's totally free. It doesn't require any cellular data. It doesn't require no ads, no purchase or in-app purchases. So I didn't intend to make money. I just wanted to do this out of pure convenience for other people and myself. I definitely plan to use this in college. But I don't think this was something that helped college applications that much, just because I waited so long to do it. So I had the idea in 9th and 10th, but 10th summer, I told myself I was going to learn Swift, which is for Apple iOS apps. I didn't do any of it. I started for 2 weeks. And I just gave up and I got bored. 11th grade summer was when I finally realized that I don't really have that many extracurricular activities and I had to do this. So I ended up programming the app that summer and leading into September, October. So my app was finished right around the corner of applying to colleges, which was not good because there were no reviews, no publicity. No one knew about the app. No one could attest to how good it was, how useful it was. And I couldn't say anything about the growth of the app on my college application. So it was really just filler at the end of it because I took so long to do it. If you have an idea like this, I would definitely recommend doing it as early as possible, so you have plenty of time for it to just sit there and for it to kind of grow up on its own. And you can also possibly market it in that time, and then that'll look way more impressive on your applications.
Yeah, those are really nice answers to hear. Now, moving on, Satvik is going to present Henry.
Hello, everyone. So Henry, what were some activities and key points you believe got you into Harvard? And what tips do you have for current students in high school?
For me, I think that for anyone applying to schools, top 20 schools, it's more than just grades at that point. I tell everyone that grades are the fundamental, right? It's the step through the door. If you don't have the grades adequate enough, and let's face it, as Asian Americans, the reality is that there is a higher expectation for us and the grades that we have. So grades is the first step, in my opinion. But after that, it really becomes a subjective thing. It's your extracurriculars, it's your teacher recommendations, and personally, I think probably the most important, or it's maybe not the most important, but just as important as those first two, is the interview process. So you don't necessarily have a huge amount of control over your teacher recommendations, except for the fact that you control who you ask to write them. But you also have control with building up relationships with your teacher throughout the first 3 years of high school. And I think that's something that you want to keep in mind throughout freshman, sophomore, junior year, because I have seen so many of my friends start a senior year and they're panicking because they're like, not a single one of my teachers really like me. Which is a little sad in some ways, but that's just something you want to prepare for. And I would say on another note is that it's never a bad idea to try to build up good relationships with teachers and ask them to be your mentors. You can certainly learn a lot from them. In terms of essays, my recommendation is that you want to start it as soon as possible. Though the essays, and you can ask any of the panelists here, take a long time and it takes several revisions. I think for me, my common application, which is kind of the main essay of 650 words, I think I probably revised it like 8 or 9 times. And, that's not even crazy, as I've heard from friends who've done like 17 different drafts and, done 4 different essays. And so my recommendation is to start somewhere beginning of the summer before your senior year, just so you give yourself enough time to do the revisions. And I haven't even mentioned the supplemental essays for each college yet. And finally, in terms of extracurriculars, first extracurriculars, I think that if you look at most people's application, there's this concept of depth versus breadth, which is the idea that most kids are either very well-rounded or have a specialty in what they do. For example, you have the national finalists, the national Olympiads, the occasional Olympic swimmer, or you have someone who does a little bit of everything. And I personally think that you need both breadth and depth. You want to be well-rounded, but you also want to have 1 or 2 things that you just care a lot about and that you're really good at. And that's something you write your essays about, and that's something that colleges deem as your quote unquote passion in a way. So that's extracurriculars. And finally, with the essays, I would say that, not essays, the interview process. I think that colleges want to get to know your personality, and they want to kind of determine how you will fit at their colleges, right? Those are all things that scores and SAT can't tell them, right? And I think that the best way for them to know that is the interview process, where they have an alumni or even better, the admission officer of their school interview directly, and they write a report about what kind of person you are. And they even rank you on a scale of 1 to 5 on the interview process. And I think that plays a major role in the college application on who gets in.
Yeah, that's great to hear about the tips you have for the high school students. And what is some advice you could give to someone who is interested in studying at Harvard?
I would say that be prepared for imposter syndrome and just the sheer number of crazy talented people who are there. I think that for a lot of Asian families, or just in anyone in general, like, Harvard gets this rep, and whether it's good or bad, there's a little bit of both. You'll meet all sorts of people who are there, right? My roommate, I just found out, is from Tanzania, and I'm like, I didn't even know where Tanzania was before that. I know there's an actor who's going to be actor of a TV show that I loved watching growing up, that's going to be in the same grade as I am. You're going to have, some crown prince of a random country in the Middle East there. You're going to have class presidents. You're going to have valedictorians. You're going to have kids who scored 1,600 on their SATs. You're going to get all sorts of people there. And then you're all going to get you're also going to get the ordinary Joes like me, who somehow made it in with a lot of luck. So I think that for us commoners, just being prepared for that, and that knowing that you're meant to be where you're meant to be for a reason. And I think that faith and religion has an impact in that line of thought. But yeah, ultimately, you're meant to be where you're meant to be.
Yeah, thank you, Henry, for giving your input on that. Now, with that said, we're going to go ahead and move on to Ishani, and Pranav will be doing Ishani's interview.
Hello. First question is, how did you decide that you wanted to pursue a major in biomedical engineering?
So I knew from a pretty early age that I wanted to pursue something in the medical field, whether that be becoming a doctor or something else. I wasn't sure of back then. And eventually I decided that biomedical engineering would be the right major for me because it's it's an up and coming industry right now. It's gaining a lot of traction. And two, I took a lot of the biology classes. I took the computer science pathway, math. I took a lot of those classes and I was just really interested in those. And so engineering kind of made sense to me. And then it's also something that would help me if I do go on to become a doctor. It's something that would help me in that career as well, because I can pursue research in medical devices, all of that, while I'm practicing medicine as well. And it fits in with the pre-med track a lot. I don't really have to take that many extra classes to fulfill my pre-med requirements. So all around, it's just a really sensible major for that.
All right. How did participating in theater and piano help you with your journey to college?
So theater and piano were kind of like my way of stress relief in high school, because I was taking a lot of stressful classes, and then with college and all, like I was really freaked out. And so theater was a class, like a break during the day where I could just go in, enjoy the class, and not worry about the outcome, like the grade or anything. I could just pursue something that I truly enjoy, because I really appreciate the arts and music. It's always been a huge part of my life. And then piano, I've been playing piano since I was 4. So that was kind of just a natural thing to me. Like if I'm stressed out, I play piano to help myself. And like music has always been really important to me. So those two were just hobbies that I had for my own personal enjoyment. I didn't really think of it in a college perspective.
Okay. We also saw that you participated in a number of extracurriculars in high school. What advice would you give to students who want to take part in that many extracurriculars?
My advice for extracurriculars is just do what you truly enjoy. Colleges are looking for a variety of things, but they're also looking to see that you were dedicated to something. They want to see commitment, because obviously that's really important in a student. So when you do choose an extracurricular, make sure it's something that you're interested in and something that you really want to excel in. So you want to put in the time and effort to go places in that specific extracurricular, rather than doing a bunch of different ones and just being like on the sidelines for them.
All right. Are there any specific prerequisites that you had to go through before joining Georgia Tech?
No, I didn't really do anything specific for to get admission to Georgia Tech. I kind of just did like normal high school classes, normal high school extracurriculars. Honestly, Georgia Tech wasn't even that high on my list at first. It became more of an important school to me later. So I didn't really do anything specifically for that college.
All right. What skills did you pick up from extracurriculars and how did they benefit you?
I think the main skills that I picked up for my extracurriculars were leadership and my communication skills. I mentioned during my intro that I was a pretty shy person freshman year. I wasn't like the type to go in front of a crowd or like be a leader. And so joining the extracurriculars that I did, like FBLA and DECA, they really helped me brush up on my presentation skills and gain that confidence to become a leader and to become someone who is able to address an audience. And so it really helped me with that aspect of my personality. My other extracurriculars like music, I think those helped me pay more attention to detail. Music is something that takes a lot of precision and practice. And so it made me a more disciplined individual, and it helped me prioritize things.
Okay, thank you for answering our questions. I'll let Nikki move on to the next section and talk more about it.
Okay, we would now like to hear open questions from our attendees. So feel free to ask questions in the chat regarding this event, and we'll do our best to answer it.
Hello, everyone. So we'll go ahead and get started with the first question. So the first question is, how are colleges helping students on immigration status H4 and move to F1 before 21 years? Are they eligible for any scholarships? I think, Erica, maybe you'd be able to answer this question, or if any of our other panelists would be able to answer this question, feel free to.
Right. For me, scholarship was actually it was a merit-based scholarship, so it was almost automatic after the admission. But about the visa, I cannot answer right now because I'm still in France. So that is tricky to answer for me. So if there's anyone else.
Yeah, I think that's it from our panelist sides. Thank you, Erica, for answering the question to the best. I hope that answered the question.
The next question is for Anvi. It says, could you explain more about your essays that you wrote for the BSMD program? What types of topics did you feel would be best for these types of competitive programs?
Okay, so there are about, I think in terms of concrete essays, about eight essays that you would need to write. And I can talk a little bit about like one of my essays. So, and you can also, a big thing that I just want to mention, I don't think like anybody else has mentioned, is you can reuse your essays. For every single application, you don't have to write like, sometimes you have 2 supplementals for college. You can, prompts are similar or they're even the same for different colleges. So you can definitely reuse essays. And for my application for BSMD, I did reuse a couple essays. So a big question that you want to focus on is, why do you want to be a physician? And that's a staple question for anybody wanting to apply to a BSMD program. And here I talked about more of a personal experience that I had with a patient when I was volunteering. And for something like, why do you want to be a physician? I think when you're applying to medical school or, just BSMD, anything, you should not give a very like generic answer. Like, I want to help people, or everybody in my family is a doctor and I want to be a doctor. Like that is not going to, that's not going to impress anybody on the medical, a board who's reading your application. You do want to talk about something a little bit more personal to you and what made you choose that pathway. And so for that, I would suggest talking about a specific moment that kind of pushed you towards pursuing, medicine, pre-med, anything like that. And so that's a big thing. I can see, and some of the other ones is they talk about like, how did you help the community? And I would suggest talking about whatever community service that you did in high school and explain that, because, and another thing you asked, like, what topics would be best for these programs? The best topics would be, anything that's original to you. So your original experiences. It's very, very hard to write in detail and try to, make an essay elaborate if it's not true to you. If it's not something that happened to you, that's very difficult. And people can definitely see through that, and they can, especially people who've read so many essays, they can see that, oh, they don't sound very genuine. So just write, what write about your experiences. And with that, in order to have experiences, just get involved as much as you can in high school in whatever you're interested in. Just don't restrict yourself and only do things that'll benefit you for pre-med or medicine, because sometimes the things you don't even expect will benefit you, help you gain skills, or anything like that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'll ask this next question to Arnav. About how long would you suggest preparing for the ACT or the SAT?
Hi. Yeah. So for the SAT, I never prepared for the ACT. For the SAT, I kind of took the approach of giving myself as much time as possible, and not and by doing that, like not stressing too much about it. So I started very early in 10th grade, or I don't know how early that is, but usually people start near like after the summer of 10th grade. I started in the beginning. And so how I studied was I kind of did a few tests and reviewed and took it slow, like gave myself a lot of time instead of trying to cram it all in one summer as a lot of people do. There's kind of like schools for the SAT where they cram a bunch of things during the summer. Instead of doing that, I just took a long time and took it slow and gave myself the time to do it properly. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for answering.
So, person asked, as a student entering 9th grade, what's the best advice you can provide?
I think that question would apply to all of the panelists. So if we could have a couple panelists answer that question, that would be amazing.
I think we'll start off with Samir. Can you start off by answering that question?
As a student entering 9th grade.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would probably suggest don't try to join every club. You're going to go to a club fair probably at orientation. You're going to see people trying to convince you to join clubs, and you might be tempted to join because you think it's going to look good in applications. I think some people would say join as many clubs as you can and then cut it from there, like for the ones you actually want to spend time and like commit to. But I would say it can also be overwhelming. You should probably look for clubs that you know your friends are already going into. That way you'll see a familiar face, you'll feel more comfortable, and it might bring out your interest in the club rather than feeling nervous or reserved because you don't have anyone to talk to. Definitely join the big clubs because those ones are like known for getting you more comfortable, like FBLA. I'm not going to diss them this time. And then as far as academics, definitely look to take, I think usually most schools offer one AP class in 9th grade. You should go ahead and do that. And just because the class is an AP, that doesn't mean don't take the honors version. Colleges definitely look at the honors version versus on level, what the rigor is compared to the other classes offered at your school and what other people are taking. You don't have to go overboard and take extra classes outside of school. If you want to and you have time, sure, go for it. But you should probably take it easy 9th grade and just see and get a feel for everything. And then after that, start trying a little more. Because after all, they're not going to look at 9th grade the same way as 10th, 11th, 12th, because they expect you to take more challenging classes as the years go on. One more thing I've noticed is for like top tier colleges, I've heard that they recalculate your GPA and they do it based off of A plus minus systems. So while you might think a 90 is an A at your school, for example, that's not always true. Some colleges will consider something below a 93 an A minus and will calculate as 3.7 when recalculating your GPA. So if you're at like a 92 or something and you know getting a 0 on your next homework assignment won't bump you down to an 89, I would definitely recommend don't do that. You should always go for the highest grade you can. It doesn't mean like sweating from a 99 to 100. That's just weird. But don't blow off grades just because you're meeting some minimum like baseline. Just put effort in the classes and it'll pay off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Moving on to the next question. Anyone can answer this. Is there any advice in preparing an essay or any websites to practice for help with that?
I can answer this question. So I remember when I started my application, I was struggling a lot with essays, especially Common App, because I felt like I had no unique experiences that I would be able to write about. Um, but a tip that I would give you in preparing for any essay is something that someone told me was literally take like 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes might be even too much. Take like 5 minutes or whatever. And this is for Common App, especially write down everything about yourself, even the smallest things. Just start writing down everything. And then after you finish that, just put it to the side and don't look back at it. And then the next day or something like that, come back and do the same thing again, but do go more in depth. And so with this, I think you're able to kind of like go through the layers of your personality, and you might be able to narrow down to a specific topic. Because with your Common App, you do really want to be specific with what you are writing. Do not make it broad. Another not advice necessarily, but kind of general idea with essays is stay away from things like death, divorce, drugs, a sports injury, things like that. These are very basic essay topics. And I would suggest that, there's hundreds, thousands of other students who might be writing things like this. And it's not going to set you apart at all. So if you are aiming for a certain college, definitely, do this exercise that I told you in order to find the best Common App essay topic for you. And I think the best thing is giving yourself time with essays. That's the biggest advice. Do not write any supplementals. Supplementals are like 200 to 300 words probably. As little as that seems, I can tell you that trying to rush those is not going to get you anywhere. You are definitely going to feel a lot of stress. It's just not going to work out. You might not even put your best foot forward. So just because they're supplementals, do not disregard. Always give yourself time for any essay that you're writing. And, once you're revising, you'll definitely be able to turn out the best essay.
So this question is for Henry. So if someone is like an 11th grader, what do you suggest for a student who didn't have many extracurricular or wasn't into that many clubs, but chose decent subjects in high school? What advice would you give them?
I would say leverage what you do have and make the most out of the application. Because I think that sometimes, even if you have a super stacked resume, but you don't effectively convey it through the application, it doesn't matter in the end, in terms of the college application process, right? On the other hand, a student, like you said, who might be lacking in the resume department or extracurricular departments, if they're able to spend more time on the essays, if they're able to prepare better for the interview, I think they got just as much of a shot as someone who might come from a better place. Because at the end of the day, it's not about where you start necessarily, it's how hard you work for it. Because at the end of the day, the college application process is just another application, right? And time and number of revisions does matter. I know that a lot of people are able to get by with, writing it the night before. Well, that's a little extreme. Well, I say that because I have friends who have done that. Or people who've only done a couple revisions and were able to get into their dream colleges, right? But if you know that you don't necessarily have the best qualifications, I think you can make up with that with hard work and a lot of time devoted to it.
So the next question, I see Samir is already typing an answer. So I'm gonna direct this towards Samir's. So what is a Common App? This is a good question. So Samir, would you like to answer since you're already typing an answer?
Yeah, so Common App's kind of like the platform you use to apply to colleges. On Common App, there's about 7 essay topics you can choose from. I think 6 are predefined ones, and the 7th one's a free one, if I'm not mistaken. Also on Common App, you'll fill out information like your family's education, where you were born, what schools you went to, your senior year courses is where you'll list that, like what you expect to take. you'll list your kind of stats at like a lower level. Like, don't be scared if you're just putting a GPA and that they'll kind of dismiss it, because they're also going to look at your high school transcript individually, aside from the Common App. That'll be sent by your counselor usually. So once you fill out your demographical information, you'll write an essay and you'll submit this individually to schools. And it's basically so that you don't have to rewrite the entire application for each individual college. You'll just pick the school. It might have a supplemental essay for that specific school. You'll write that and then submit the Common App application with that essay, and it'll be sent immediately to that college. Some colleges don't accept Common App. So UT, which is where I'm going, doesn't accept Common App. I had the option to use the Apply to Texas system, or I could use Coalition for College, which is basically Common App, but a different name. And it has kind of outreach to these other colleges that don't accept Common App. So I did Coalition, and that's where I submit everything through. But normally colleges that don't accept Common App will have their own college application system. I know UGA, before it started taking Common App, had its own one, and that was a little complex, which is why I ended up just not applying there.
Okay, I think the next question, Ishani can answer this one. What resources do you recommend for the SAT or the ACT?
So the main resource that I used at first was Khan Academy. I went through all the SAT stuff they have on there. And then eventually, sophomore year, I'm sure some of you know him, I joined Hari Uncle's class, and I did his class for, I think, like 6 months up and leading up to my SAT. But obviously, if an SAT class isn't an option for you, Khan Academy is great. They track your progress, they track your scoring, everything, and you can also give them your PSAT score report, and it'll tell you what skills you need to work on. And then if you search up online like SAT practice and all, you'll get tons of stuff. There's a lot of resources out there online, and then there's obviously tutors. And then I can't really answer for ACT because I haven't taken ACT at all. So if you could ask someone else.
I'll jump in real quick, and just because there's one resource I think that for most people who struggle with the reading section, like I did, I think this book was really helpful for me, because I think generally, not the stereotype, but from what I've seen of my Asian friends, the math section seems to be a lot easier. But anyways, the book is called The Critical Reader, The Complete Guide to SAT Reading. It's by Erica Meltzer. I really liked this book because it offered very realistic passages to what I saw on the SAT. But more importantly, it offered in-depth explanation for what this type of question is, why I got it wrong, and how I could learn from it, right? And I think that it did a really great job of preparing me for SAT reading section.
Thank you, Henry, for that. Now, I did notice there is one question for review tutor and education for all, so I'll quickly go ahead and answer it. The question is how to be in regular touch with review tutor and how to attend future sessions. So if you like today's session, Education for All, they host many sessions like this. This is their second webinar they've hosted. They hosted one last year as well, and they host many other events as well. And if you would like to check out their website, definitely check it out. It's educationforall.co. And you can be in touch with review tutor by our social medias is reviewtutor.co Instagram. And also we have LinkedIn. Aniket will put it in the chat if you'd like to learn more. And as we mentioned earlier, we also put it in the chat. We're planning on hosting a computer science session, which has limited spots. And Education for All also hosts similar events like this, as I mentioned.
Next question. As a rising senior, if I do not have any extracurriculars related to my major, then will I be at a disadvantage? I'll ask Ishani about that question.
Could you repeat the question actually? Oh wait, I found it. Okay. I didn't have any extracurriculars related to my major. I did music extracurriculars and then FBLA and DECA. So I don't think it matters that much unless you're applying to a specific program like Anvi did. She applied to BSMD. Obviously, since that's like a medical school that you're essentially applying to, you want to have things that are relating to that. But if you're applying to a general university, I don't think it's that necessary as long as you're not doing something totally outlandish and then you're not doing anything at all related to your major. I think you're fine. You just want to make sure that you're showing that you're dedicated to what you're doing and that you have a reason for doing it. You're not just doing it for the sake of the application.
Okay, so someone asked, in the long term, does an undergrad degree choice matter? So I'll give this question to Erica.
I would say it really depends what your goal is afterwards. So for me, I never actually expected me to do this Master of Education after my undergrad was Bachelor of Music Performance. So it really depends on what you want to do at that moment. You might change your goal afterwards. So what you can say is just focus on what you want to do now. And even if you change your mind afterwards, there will always be a way. You will be able to link two of them, like what you have done before and what you want to do afterwards. You'll be able to link them and then to tell a good story. Then I think it will work, whatever you have done before. Thank you.
Okay, so this next question I think could go to Anvi. So it's, what would happen if someone got rejected from all the medical schools that they applied to?
All right. So if you were applying to medical school and you got rejected from all of them, that is just a little setback. You can apply to medical school the next year, the following year. And a lot of people do what they do in between 4 years of undergrad and the 4 years of medical school is they take a gap year. And I think a gap year, and I won't be taking a gap year, but if I was doing 4+4, I think I might have taken a gap year because this gap year is used to further increase your medical school application. Medical school is not judged like how high school or regular college applications are judged. The more experience you have, the higher chance you're going to get in. So age doesn't really matter. And so in this gap year, you can do, suppose you got rejected from your medical school, you applied straight out of undergrad and you got rejected. So, you have now an entire year and you're like, what do I do before the next round of applications start? We'll know some examples of things you can do is, first of all, you can get certified if you aren't already for like CNA or being a pharmacy tech, and you can make the most of your time then. You can work, and doing some kind of medical related job will definitely help boost your medical application. You can also do research because you do have a degree now. So you can do research with the professor, anything like that. And other things you could do is you could also work as a scribe, and options are endless. And you can also travel. You don't have to stay back and just try to do something to increase your medical application. You can definitely travel, and you can gain new experiences like that. Basically, medical colleges just want to see that you've done something productive with that 1 year and didn't just sit at home and be a couch potato. So it's not end all be all if you get rejected from all your medical schools. Just try again, because being a doctor, being a physician is all about perseverance and being persistent. So just try again and try again the year after.
And this question is, I'm going to direct it to Samir since he did a couple of AP classes. So how important is your GPA? Like at what point does trying to increase it not matter?
If you are going for a high rank, class rank, and your school does a ranking system, then you may find it useful to take more AP classes to stand out compared to your classmates. I don't think that you should take AP classes just for GPA though. If it's not an interesting class, don't take it. Like for me, I wasn't good at science or I didn't like science. I don't think I'm actually bad at it. I just don't like it. So I didn't do chemistry. I didn't do biology. I didn't do both the physics C's for the AP classes, but I focused on the humanity classes instead when I was like going to these upper level classes. There's no like max cap for GPA. It's all recalculated anyways, so it's not really that important. But I have noticed that some state schools tend to emphasize academics more than your activities outside of school, whereas private colleges and like the elite institutions, they look at things you're doing outside of school and GPA. So if you have that like trade-off you can do and you can substitute an AP class with another extracurricular activity that might go on your application in one of those 10 slots, you might want to consider that, because one additional class, if it's not really changing your rank or it's not game changing for you, don't really focus on doing that, right?
Thank you.
Okay, I think that's the last of the questions we can take right now. So we will come to a close for this webinar. Thank you so much for attending this event and listening to our speakers' amazing stories. We hope that you use the information you learned here today to help you prepare for college and your life ahead.
If you want to find out more about the opportunities you can participate in with Review Tutor and Education for All, please visit www.reviewtutor.org and www.educationforall.co. Check out our social media for updates and future events. Thank you again for coming today. We hope you have an amazing rest of your afternoon.
I've also attached the link for the EFA website and the CS program registration.
Yeah, I also put the link down there. Feel free to check it out. But thank you everyone for joining our session today.
Thank you all. Thank the panelists. Thank you to the team. Nice job.
And also one more thing is that if you didn't get it, if you want to watch the webinar for whatever reason again, or if sometimes the network was bad or anything like that, this will be uploaded on the EFA channel and maybe the Tutor channel as well. So feel free to check it out and feel free to stay tuned. EFA will send an email once it's on YouTube.
You can also forward the YouTube to anyone that couldn't attend it today, but might be interested. So check it out when you guys get the time.